are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is Thursday, November 9th. Another episode of The Issue here for you today. A good one going into week 10 of the NFL. So now we have surpassed the halfway mark. We are into the back half of the season, the back nine. So things are going to get interesting. We have players coming back. Kyler's coming back this week. We have players going out. A lot of injuries. So we will be here to kind of recap it all for you. Going to start the show off like we normally do with Tim's rant, this time on Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. Look, there's some real rumblings in Pittsburgh and I think around the league that, Kenny Pickett isn't the guy. We're going to get into that more. And then we're going to have hits and misses to round out the first segment. Into the second segment, that's where the predictions will live. Week 10 predictions to start things out there, and then, of course, Week 10 bets on a budget to finish out segment 2. And then into the third, we will have our good news segment there, and then Game of the Week to finish the show. This week, the San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars set to do battle. It should be very good.
I'm interested because the line up front isn't great for Jacksonville, but the secondary can be got in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we know Trevor Lawrence and those receivers can kind of air it out. Is he going to have time? It's going to be interesting.
Exactly. We have all the makings of a good show. Guys, we appreciate you stopping by. However you are either viewing or listening to the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Music, iTunes, and, of course, iHeartRadio and the iHeartRadio app. But before we get started, we have some big news. We have signed with SoBet. Go check that out. We have our referral code, all the links, everything in the description. It's going to be really good. It's a platform for people that are very into sports betting, people that really like to be informed on the decisions that they make when they go place their bets.
I mean, basically, SoBet stands for social betting, so it kind of combines experts and novices alike. So if you're somebody that's still getting into betting, you can go ahead and join the service. I believe it's somewhere under $10 a month. Join the service, and they have a ton of really good expert content creators that are going to help you with bets, teach you about betting, and we kind of all bet together, right? We'll give you some lines. We're going to back those lines as well. We'll give you updates on the games happening that that we're betting on, and as well as just general information on football, baseball, basketball, whatever the sport may be. We're going to cover a ton of different sports on there, so make sure you check that out and go check out all the other content creators on SoBet. Again, you can see the links are pretty much anywhere. Our Linktree, our website, you'll be able to find those anywhere that you end up finding us.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and like we said, go sign up through our referral code and our link. It's fantastic. Everything you need if you love betting.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's rumblings in Pittsburgh about Kenny Pickett not being the guy. Look, I don't want to raise my hand and sit here and say that's me, but yeah, no, I do not believe in Kenny Pickett as the franchise quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, I know that Matt Canada is not a very good coordinator. He's not a good coordinator at all. Not just not very good. He's a terrible coordinator. And there's serious questions on Pittsburgh's ability under Mike Tomlin to develop an offensive line, develop a run game, and sustain offensive success. Aside from a 3-year stretch with Ben, Bell, and Brown, we also had probably the best offensive coordinator that we've had under Tomlin's tenure during that run. So that should be noted as well. And so for a franchise who's very defensive focused, very culture, we do things the right way, sometimes you kind of gotta go out on a limb and take chances to improve the offensive side of the football. It's 2023. If you follow us on TikTok, you see how frustrated I've been with Bill Belichick's rigidity about not moving and not pivoting to caring more about the offensive side of the ball. I think you could argue the same for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, first of all, to still have Matt Canada as a coordinator is insanity to me. I mean, to not have a 400-plus yard game in, almost 60 games now? That's ridiculous. Everybody else in the league has had at least 3 or 4, I believe. That is just, that's inexcusable. There's no excuse for it. And some of that was with Ben, right? Some of that was with a future Hall of Famer. His last season with a future Hall of Famer, you couldn't get above 400 yards? And Kenny Pickett, look, I'm not saying he's great, But there are some things there where you're like, okay, like I can see, especially in the fourth quarter, like he's got some accuracy. He's got a little bit of special to him. But they just can't put it together. If you find yourself making excuses for your quarterback, that's how you know that you should probably pivot off that quarterback. That doesn't mean they're bad. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a shot somewhere else. But if you find yourself consistently and habitually making excuses for your so-called franchise quarterback, that's how you know you don't have the franchise quarterback. Think about this just this past offseason. Daniel Jones is 6'4" and he can move, and we're talking he's good. We just got to get some weapons around him. Before Brian Dable, he just didn't have the play calling, and he needs more weapons. No, they actually went out and acquired weapons and got Darren Waller, a good tight end, who, yes, he's now on the IR, but for most of the seasons thus far, he has been active. They re-signed Saquon Barkley, spending a ton of money. They shored up the defense so he doesn't have to win shootouts. And what are we hearing out of New York? Maybe he's not the guy. Well, yeah, I could have told you that last offseason when you were making excuses for why he only had 17 touchdown passes in quote-unquote his career year. Are you kidding? 17 in his career year? You want to talk about career, actually, speaking of, Kenny Pickett's got 13 total. Let that sink in. I mean, Sam Howell, on the road, in New England, basically a rookie quarterback. He had one start last year. Basically a rookie quarterback on the road against the best coach to ever live against rookie quarterbacks. That's fine. 20-17, win. He's got 14 touchdown passes on the year. Kenny Pickett, 13 in his career. C.J. Stroud, he's a rookie, by the way. Just want to let that be known. He's got more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett. He's played, 8 games? 8 games? Josh Dobbs arrived to the facility on Wednesday. Learned not even the playbook. The 25 most important plays that he needed just for Sunday. Didn't even know the plays when it came to the fourth quarter. Kevin O'Connell's explaining them in his ear. He's on the sideline with the offensive line, getting them to get used to his cadence. He doesn't even know the names of the guys blocking for him or the guys he's throwing to. It's fine. Fourth quarter comeback, just lead him right down the field, 31-28. Aiden O'Connell's coach gets fired. Now, I'm not saying I like Josh McDaniels, but coach gets fired. Offensive coach, developed one of the best quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady. Decent offensive mind, at bare minimum. Gets fired. Hey, kid, by the way, you're starting. That's fine. Win 30-6. We can keep making excuses for Kenny Pickett. At some point, enough's enough, and you have to go win. You have to go win. Will Levis. I thought Will Levis thoroughly outplayed Kenny Pickett on Thursday night. I didn't think it was particularly close. I thought you looked at that game and said, yeah, arm, movement, moxie. He's got everything. He's got, you check. Size, arm, accuracy, throwing off platform, toughness, can move the ball with his legs if he needs to. He's got that kind of swagger about him. He's a little bit arrogant for me, but still, I think guys in the locker room like him. They can rally around him. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett doesn't, but we're sitting here making excuses. Well, hey, he's really good in the fourth quarter. Yeah, well, we're down 2 touchdowns for a reason, because he sucked for 3. He's not a very good quarterback, point blank. We can keep lying to ourselves. You're going to end up in the same position that, I don't know, New York's in right now. Go ahead and lie to yourself about Kenny Pickett for another year and a half. Then what happens? What are you going to pay him $45 million? Then where you at? Then Minka's got to go because you can't pay him. Then you don't have any linebackers. Then after TJ Watt, you got nobody up front. Then you got 1 good receiver instead of 2. Then you got 1 good back instead of 2. Then you already have a bad offensive line. That'll stay bad. Right? Like, we can keep lying to ourselves about Kenny Pickett. At some point, you have to wake up and be like, if we keep making excuses, like, is there a chance he's not the guy? Considering, like, we've seen other quarterbacks around the league go into worse situations and be significantly better, i.e. C.J. Stroud, i.e. Sam Howell, Josh Dobbs, Aiden O'Connell. Those are all significantly worse cultures and significantly worse teams than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they all have been significantly better in either less time, less preparation time. Again, worse rosters, worse receiving cores. You're trying to tell me C.J. Stroud throwing a Tank Dell and Nico Collins is better than George Pickens and Deontay Johnson? I'm telling you, you're just flat wrong. But he's making plays happen. Kenny Pickett cannot make plays happen. He is not the franchise quarterback. He's not. And here's the problem. Pittsburgh's all loyal. I'm going to get a ton of blowback on this video. Oh, but Kenny in the offensive coordinator is bad. Okay, so you got to do something. You have to show me something. We're going to ride with him for the next 5 years. And then finally, 5 or 6 years from now, everybody will wake up and be like, oh, maybe he's not the guy. But it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late by then. It's time to move on. I think, look, if I'm in that room, I've already made my decision. It's almost Thanksgiving. I've made my decision. Thanksgiving of year 2, my decision's made. That's it. Like Justin Fields, decision's been made. I'm moving on. I'm drafting a quarterback. For me, Kenny Pickett, I'm moving on. That's it. If I get a decent pick in this draft, if I'm anywhere in the top 15, 16, I'm drafting a quarterback. If Bo Nix falls to me, I'm drafting him. Jordan Travis falls to me, I'm drafting him. I can't watch this Kenny Pickett show anymore. It's not for me. I don't think he's the franchise quarterback. I think he's... Well, you tell me, what does he do well? What is his thing that he does? What's his trait that he does well? Arm? Accuracy? He's okay. But he completes 59% of his throws before the fourth quarter. 59. Like, he's not that accurate. He moves. Good enough, but not good enough to not get hurt. He's been hurt now 3 times in a year and a half. So, I mean, you tell me. What does he do well? I can't see a thing. I got a ton of guys in college that I can see things that they do well. I know a ton of guys in the pros the teams are going to move on. I see what they can do well. I don't know what Kenny Pickett does well.
Yeah, and the thing that you mentioned, the loyalty in Pittsburgh, the culture is going to be, I feel like that's it's such a two-sided coin. It can be one of the best things for the city, but also one of the most blinding and worst things, right? So you're going to lie to yourself about Kenny now. The problem is we've seen him miss easy throws, right? And what's that causing? Now George Pickens has deleted everything Steelers from his social media, totally scrubbed himself of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and probably is going to start
him if we're going to be honest.
Probably start wanting to leave. If he had a good quarterback, could you imagine him in Kansas City? Kansas City needs a wide receiver. You know, the trade deadline's over, but
in the offseason,
could you imagine him in Kansas City with a Mahomes? He'd be great.
Yeah, he'd be fantastic.
There's a lot of problems on this team that I believe stem back to Kenny Pickett. It's just they are now in a situation where they have to make a decision that the Steelers organization has really never made before, and it's move off the guy quickly and draft a new quarterback just 2 years after you drafted your last guy. It needs to happen. I don't think there's any way that they win with Kenny. The Steelers, look, you have to have a quarterback. If you want to be any sort of competitive, and especially if you want to compete for a Super Bowl, you have to have a quarterback that is the best at something. He has to be the best in the league at something. It doesn't matter what it is. We've seen a lot of different recipes to win, and we've seen a lot of different types of quarterbacks win. But you have to be the best in the league in one area.
So, remember when Sam Darnold came out? This was before we had the podcast, but even when he moved to Carolina, we were big Sam Darnold supporters. I think Sam's got a lot of talent. First 2 years in the league, guess how many touchdown passes he threw?
Combined? Probably...
Yeah, first 2 years. So the
better
first
than Kenny?
the first
Is it better
2
than
years.
Kenny?
The first 2 years, he started 26 games. Kenny started 21. Sam threw 36 touchdown passes. Kenny's thrown 13. Yes, he had a ton more picks. He had 28 picks. Kenny's also has 13 picks. Passer rating, 81. Kenny Pickett's pass rating, 78. Keep lying to yourself.
It's bad.
People ran Darnold out of town. And we're trying to defend Kenny Pickett. People ran Darnold out of town. People are going to now try to defend Kenny Pickett.
Doesn't make sense.
Good luck. Good luck. At least Sam had talent. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. It doesn't look good. I don't think anything's going to really come of Pittsburgh until Kenny's gone and they start working on that next guy. And you might have to do something a little, I guess, against the norm for Pittsburgh. Maybe trade up.
They don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Make people uncomfortable. Who cares? Get rid of them. It's it. It's done. I don't understand what we're looking at. What do we keep making excuses for? Ship him and Canada out of town. Send them to Orlando. They're going to Disney World. And have them figure something out. We're done. This is not working.
It's about the only way they're going to get to Disney World.
Keep convincing yourself. Well, we have a winning record. Okay, fine. So, what are you going to get to the first round of the playoffs and get absolutely worked? I mean, what are we getting at here? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, let's go. Hits and misses.
All right, hit number one. Yet another winning week on bets. 3-2. Look, we're still above 500. We're at about 53%. We're 24-21 on the year.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for that 5-0 week to really break through. Who knows? Maybe this week will be it. We had a couple bad beats, though. I didn't know Stafford was going to be out for the Rams. of course, if I knew Brett Rippon was going to be starting, thinking I probably wouldn't have picked him on the road to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would have been a Packers bet, and we would have won that bet. And then what was the other one?
Arizona.
Thank you, Arizona. So we had done the bet, made the video, predicted everything. Literally like an hour later, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, Josh Dobbs is traded. And we're like, okay, great. That's just great.
Yeah,
love that. Thanks.
Fine and dandy.
Yeah, so, by the time that bet gets out, that doesn't work out. So 2 bad beats. So we're 3-2 with 2 awful beats that we probably don't pick given those circumstances. But hey, nonetheless, sometimes we get helped out by the early line. Sometimes we get hurt, betting early. And that's one of those. But hopefully we get that 5-0 week to put us comfortably above the sharp line.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows a bit, doesn't it, in the world of sports betting. But, we've had a pretty solid season up until this point. And we're hoping to have a pretty good back nine here.
We're above 50%, and we're not far from that 56%, so we're doing good.
And it'll help you stay above 56%.
SoBet.
You go check out SoBet.
Yep. Mr. Number 1 here. Well, this is mostly for me. I thought Bryce Young was significantly better than C.J. Stroud coming out, and I thought Stroud had some things on film that I didn't love. I thought he kind of wasn't as good at throwing people open, more throwing to a spot. That is completely not true. He throws people open. He's really, really accurate. He's always on time. It just always seems like the ball's going where it should. It doesn't seem like he makes a ton of errant rookie throws. Doesn't mean, I'm not even talking mistakes. I'm just talking he always goes to the right read at the right time. It's always in rhythm. It's always on time. It's always accurate. It's really, really good to see. I was wrong. Luke, you crushed that take. You were a C.J. Stroud over a Bryce Young guy. I was reversed, but I was wrong.
Yeah, he has, even though I kind of gave him his praise coming in, I did not think he would be this good. It's truly impressive how competent of a rookie quarterback he's been. I mean, with some big wins, too. Against that Steelers defense, he made that Steelers defense look non-existent.
Hung 30 on him. Yeah, that's the same defense
that
humiliated Lamar
down.
Yeah, humiliated that team. I mean, granted, they had some drops, but
either way,
nonetheless, still, they held him to, 10 points?
Either way, C.J. Stroud is showing that he's the guy.
I mean, just think a calendar year ago today, they were rocking with Davis Mills. They were terrible.
And the Texans were a joke.
They were a joke. It was all the info was coming out that they helped Deshaun Watson do some weird stuff off the field.
He had all the NDAs with the team and
awful off the field stuff. They were terrible on the field.
Yeah.
Coaching staff was not very good. They clean house. They bring in DeMeco Ryans, still a defensive culture. Who knows about the GM? Missing his field goal kicker. Number 2 and 3 receivers. Doesn't matter. 475 touchdowns win.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Insane.
Again, back to the whole, you can keep making excuses. Nobody's making an excuse for C.J. Stroud. The kid just goes out and balls week in and week out.
When you have the guy, it's evident.
That's 100. Couldn't have said it better myself. Hit number 2 here. When everybody was selling their Joe Burrow and Cincinnati stock, I was buying it up. I mean, we said, what was that, about 4
or 5 weeks ago.
About 4 or 5 weeks ago, I said, they're going to move into the top 10. That's a very good football team. I think there's an argument that's a top 3 team in football. Yeah. They've won 4 straight now. They humiliated the Niners. They comfortably won against the Bills. I mean, did you see the first drive?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Joe Burrow 6 for 6, 50 yards. Did it not feel like it was over after the first drive?
It did.
In my head, I'm just like, Buffalo's got no chance. Well, they got no chance.
In the entire first half of the game, Cincinnati big brothered Buffalo.
Well, because I think they're a better football team. I think Joe Burrow might be the best situational quarterback in football.
Yeah. I think Zach Taylor's awesome, too.
He's good.
I think he's pretty good.
He's good. I will say, Burrow can't do it alone. I don't know how much of it is Taylor, but, I mean, he can't be. He's at least not bad. He's at least average to above average. I mean, he got to a Super Bowl.
I mean, yes. I
don't think he's, great.
He's not the reason.
But I think he's really good.
And I think coaches can be kind of pulled by a great quarterback like that. But, I mean, he's not wrecking anything.
If I had to give him a quarterback in the league comp, he's like Kirk Cousins. He can win you some games, but he's not often going to lose you games.
Zach Taylor?
Zach Taylor is the coaching version of a Kirk Cousins.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
He might lose you 1 or 2 games a year max.
Yeah.
But he's going to keep you in every game. He's not going to wreck the ship.
Yeah, I like it.
Is that fair? I think that's fair.
That's fair.
Or like a Dak Prescott,
No. Dak wrecks the ship quite often.
That's a good point. I think he's better than Dak.
Yeah, probably Kirk.
Yeah, more Kirk. Kirk. Mr. Number 2 here. And speaking of Dak, I've been a little bit critical of Dak, but you got to give him credit. Even though they lost, he played really well, and he's played well for the past, probably month. I mean, he looked good. Give him 2 more inches of sideline, or of field before he hits the sideline. He gets that 2-point conversion, and they're kicking a field goal at worst to tie the game to go into overtime. I thought he played really well, in control, accurate, didn't make any big mistakes.
Didn't throw any interceptions.
The taking the sack at the end was a little bit rough.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I thought he played really good football. He played well against the Rams last week. I think he's played better, really, really good for the better part of a month.
Who looked better in that game, Jalen Hurts or Dak?
Well, Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts I think he's a more dynamic player. Even Hurt, I think he can do things that Dak cannot.
Statistically, he had a better rating too. So.
And I also think, and I'm not saying Dak's a bad leader, but you just feel something. There's just something there. There's some buzz with Jalen. Like, that team just rallies around him. I'm not saying people, don't like Dak. You heard Micah Parsons come out after the game. Like, that's, Dak freaking Prescott, basically. Like, people like Dak, but Jalen's just got that different aura about him.
Yeah.
Hit number 3 here. Literally one singular day after we said, and I literally just saw the graphic that I made last week, and it said, should the Raiders clean house and fire their coach and GM and move to a different quarterback? I actually remember typing it. I just saw it 25 minutes ago.
And then what happened?
Josh McDaniels gone. Dave Ziegler gone. They make a change at quarterback. And we've said from basically the very beginning when he got hired, Josh McDaniels is not a very good head coach. Could he be a good coordinator? Sure, I saw it for years. He clearly can be a good coordinator. As a head coach, the players don't like him. The owner didn't like him. The fans didn't like him. I mean, he called a meeting. The players ripped him. Then he had Antonio Pierce, kind of give him a pep talk. Antonio Pierce basically talked about the Patriots. McDaniels got all pissed off, said, don't you ever talk about the Patriots like that. Meanwhile, you're a freaking Raider. I'm not saying you can't hold respect for the Patriots, having been there for however long he was there, 15 years or whatever. But you're a Vegas Raider now, dude. What are you doing defending the Patriots?
Yeah.
And that lost a lot of people in the locker room. Basically, right after that, they were just like, yeah, he's gone. That was the last straw.
That was the final straw.
He just does not. There's a difference between IQ and EQ. EQ is that social aspect. Can you relate to guys? Can you walk into a locker room and know, hey, this guy's got some things going on off the field. His kid's sick. He's got to do this off the field. This is happening with his family. Can you understand the feeling of a locker room and relate to the guys? I don't think he does very well, clearly, because there's not a lot of guys in his corner right now.
Oh.
Even Brady, who was with him for 15 years, I don't think I've ever heard him come out and be like, Josh is my guy.
No.
I don't know. I don't think he gets the EQ part of it. I think he's smart. I think he's got the IQ. I don't think he has the EQ.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems there. And look, I know it was against the Giants, but they came out and played really well.
They did play well. So now, I'm not saying McDaniels is not at fault. I think he is. How much of it is also on the owner and the franchise in general? They had 2 winning seasons in 2 decades.
Yeah, and
how much?
Don't forget about all the noise that came out with Gruden and everything over the past couple of years. And
they were dumb enough to sign AB.
Yeah.
They run Derek Carr out of town, making his wife cry.
And then everything also off the field stuff with
Mark Davis is yelling at fans during the games. What are we doing?
You got the whole car incident.
Yeah, the rugs. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just. The dude flashing the gun on IG Live.
There's been a lot of problems.
How much of it is on the franchise, you think?
A good portion?
I think a good portion. So, I mean, if 100% of the blame, I would put 60% on
McDaniels?
The GM and McDaniels. That regime. Yeah. That regime. The GM, McDaniels, that staff.
And with the other 40% on the organization.
On the organization. So that's the executives, the owner, the
high ups.
Yeah,
the big wigs, if you will.
Yeah, right. The suits.
The suits.
Yeah. Miss number 3 here. We had the Rams as a fringe 500 team, would be scrappy, missed the playoffs by a game. I think we had them at 8-9, maybe 9-8, somewhere around there.
They don't look like that.
And barely missed the playoffs, but it might be more of a rebuild than a reboot. Yeah. I don't know. Stafford's hurt yet again. Since the Super Bowl season, he has not been healthy. When he is, he's fine.
Their defense
but
can't
he's
stop
not
the
been
nosebleed.
healthy enough outside of Donald, and then there's one linebacker I like. There's not a ton to work with on defense.
Even with Aaron Donald, they can't stop the run. You have that big dude up front to try to shut things down. Green Bay ran all over him.
I mean, what do? Do you just fully reboot it this year? Because, I mean, look, they're 3-6 right now. There's a good chance they have a top 10 pick. They have a chance to get a Penix. Or one of these top 5 quarterbacks.
I was going to say, Stafford's getting old, so.
I know
he's hurt all the time.
They owe him a lot of money. But, people overestimate or overrate, dead cap hit. Well, if you bring in a rookie quarterback with a rebuilding roster, you're not going to be good for 2 or 3 years anyway. Swallow the dead cap hit, get a ton of draft capital.
Right.
Trade. Look, I like Aaron Donald. Trade Aaron Donald, get some draft capital, get rid of some guys, start over, get young, get cheap.
Yeah.
You eat the dead cap for a year. You move on, that's it.
And if you can find a quarterback that maybe you don't have to reach on, that you can get a little later round, let them sit behind Stafford for a year.
You could do that as well. Yeah, you could maybe, instead of getting a first-round quarterback, there's 11 quarterbacks in this coming draft. You could get one in the top of the third that is a viable option given some time to sit.
Yeah, sit behind Stafford and learn.
What about like a Riley Leonard from Duke?
He would learn
talented,
so much from a veteran like Stafford.
I think it's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
Guys, that was hits and misses. Don't go anywhere. We will have the predictions for Week 10 on the other side, as well as bets on a budget presented by SoBet. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in. It's The Issue. It is, the 9th of November now.
Yes, it is.
We're getting into Week 10. Already Week 10 of the NFL. We are halfway. There's 18 weeks now, 17 games played, including a bye week. There's now 18 weeks of NFL football. We are at the halfway point. We are now on the back 9. That's pretty wild. We're on the back 9. We got Week 10. Again, welcome in. If you missed the news at the beginning of the show, we are now sponsored, or I guess partnered with SoBet. Again, you can find the description, or the link, I guess, in the description of this video, and our link tree. All that basically stands for social betting. Trying to help novices become better at betting, and also trying to, if you're already really good at betting, link up with other really good betting professionals and experts, not only betting material, but also just information about football, about baseball, about basketball. I think I saw rugby on there. I don't know. I saw Russian table tennis. I'm telling you, anything you could possibly want to bet on or learn more about, they have the stuff for it. SoBet, again, find the link, use our code, The Issue. Get yourself a little referral code there, and go ahead and check out SoBet. Get better at betting. Just get smarter in general.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate that. We're super excited about the partnership, and you will start seeing a ton of content kind of between the two of us. It should be really good. But guys, first, before we get to our bets, we have our predictions, like always, to open up the second segment here. So, Week 10 NFL predictions, every pick for every game. Here we go.
Look, normally on Thursdays, I sit down, I set time aside.
Yep.
I'm excited to watch a Thursday night game, even though sometimes they're not always the best games. I stay true to myself.
It's a religion.
I do it for journalism and for this job. This podcast. I care. I don't know if I have it in me to watch this game tonight. It is the Panthers at the Bears. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bears. Look, I don't know who's the better quarterback is in this game. I do think the Bears do have a better overall roster. I think they have better offensive pieces at least. They can somewhat run the football. The offensive line's improving. They have some guys on the outside. At least they have DJ Moore. I don't know what the Panthers have outside of Brian Burns. I like their edge rusher a lot, Brian Burns, but I don't know. I think I'm getting the better roster, and I'm getting them at home. I'll take the Bears. Don't feel great about it.
I don't feel great about the Panthers either.
Sometimes you got to call an upset. I called the Jets this past week. It didn't work out, but sometimes you have to call the upset.
Bryce Young, I've always
There's
liked
something there.
I've always liked him.
Yeah, my ass. Get out of here.
No, I think he shows more promise than Badgent.
Come on, what are you talking about? Teabags has it in the bag.
Yeah, I just look. There's no reasoning behind this pick other than I feel better about the Panthers beating the horrific Bears.
That's true. Neither of them are good teams, but we'll move on nonetheless. Again, Sunday morning, not sure I want to watch this game either, but Indianapolis and New England both traveling overseas, that 9:30 a.m. game. I'll go ahead and take the Colts. Don't feel great about it, but I think it's in 2023 an offensive league. They have more offensive talent, a better offensive coach, a better quarterback. Yes, I said it. I will take Gardner Minshew over Mac Jones. I don't know what the Patriots do well. Even their special teams now is bottom third of the league, and that's always been a strength. Defense with injuries hasn't been very good. I don't know what they do well. I think it's about time for Bill to go. I'll take the Colts.
Yeah, well, we've seen what's happened to Bill Belichick over the past, couple of weeks here. This year it's looked really bad, and he doesn't even have home field or anything to kind of hide behind this time. You're at a neutral site. I don't feel great about Bill. I don't feel great about the Patriots. I'll take the Colts.
My Browns at the Ravens. I think there's an argument the Ravens have the best team in football. Ask yourself tomorrow, who don't they match up against? Maybe Kansas City. But I think they do match up against Kansas City, and I think they beat the Browns handily. I'll take the Ravens by 2 touchdowns.
See, I'm taking the Ravens, but I have a little bit different stance on this than you do because the Browns defense is really good. And we saw what happened to Lamar and the Ravens when they faced a Pittsburgh defense, which I think has very similar traits between the two.
I think,
great pass rush.
The Browns are a little bit better on the back end, but I think we're better up front.
Better secondary for sure. So, look, I know the Ravens are going to win this game, but I just think it's going to be a little bit closer than some people lead on.
That's fair. But I mean, so we'll get into bets, but what do you think about the Ravens -6? See, I think at 6 I'd take the Ravens because I'm covered by a touchdown.
But if it gets to 6.5, 7, then I'm taking the Browns.
I think if it's anything under 7, I'd probably take the Ravens. Anything above that, I'd probably consider taking the Browns.
You take the Ravens 6.5?
Well, yeah, you're still covered by a touchdown. I'd take that all day.
I
guess you know the only benefit of the 6 is you push on a 24-18 type of game, but I don't know. Saints at the Vikings. I'm going to go ahead and take. I think we both have the Saints. Is that right?
Yes, we both have the Saints.
Well, I think. Look, Josh Dobbs, great story. I think he's a good quarterback. But I mean, let's be real here. Do we expect him to pull off a miracle 2 weeks in a row?
Probably
I don't.
Not.
And the Saints offense has figured it out. They've scored 25 plus now in 3 straight games. Derek Carr has been really good. He's hooking up with Chris Olave a lot more. They've been running the football more consistently with Alvin Kamara. I think they're a better football team. And I do think the defense is finding itself as well. I don't expect Josh Dobbs to pull off 2 miracles in a row.
No, I don't think so either. And this is one of the games that the Saints win. And they're fighting for wins at this point. try to keep battling. It's just when you're a team that accrues injuries like that and you have to go to the backup and you get the new guy coming in, you can sometimes kind of ride that high.
Yeah, there's a ceiling on that, though.
Yes. Like we saw it in L.A. When Baker went over there. They ripped off like a win or two early, and then things kind of, regressed back to the mean. I see that happening in Minnesota. All
right, 49ers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to go ahead and take the Niners. I actually was not thoroughly impressed with the Jags when they came to Pittsburgh. We were at that game in person.
Yeah.
I was not that impressed. Yes, is Trevor Lawrence good? Yeah. But outside of that, I don't think that they're not very good up front. I think Travis Etienne is a little bit overrated, although he has been productive this year. I think more so than people may have expected, but I still think he's overrated. I don't think Calvin Ridley has been very good the past 5 to 6 weeks. He started out hot, has not been very good since. I think that's an overrated football team. Now, I think they're good. I think because of weak schedule, they're going to win a lot of games. But do I think they're on San Francisco's level yet? I don't. I think off a bye, Kyle Shanahan is going to kind of flex his muscles a little bit. I think they win by 6.
Yeah, you said it best. They're just not on the level of San Fran. And it's, I don't want to say evident, but I'd say it's pretty clear. I'm taking San Francisco. This is our game of the week, so we'll get to it more later, a little bit more in depth. But the 49ers win this game.
Yeah. Texans at the Bengals. I think the Bengals are a much better team. Let's not get crazy with the CJ Stroud hype. Is he good? Yes, he's very good. Do I expect him to go into Cincinnati and beat a Joe Burrow? I don't see that happening.
Not at this point. The Bengals are playing the best football they have all year.
There's an argument that over the last 4 weeks they've been the best team in football. They've won 4 straight.
And with the best quarterback play too. Joe has been
I think he's been the best quarterback in the league for the past 4 weeks.
Joe has been great.
I agree. Packers at the Steelers. I know I've been a Steeler fader. I was thinking about it, and I would if it was any other team, but that's how strongly I feel against Jordan Love. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I think much along the lines of Kenny Pickett, I don't view him as a franchise quarterback. I think he's a bounce around, maybe get a couple other opportunities to not start, kind of like a Case Keenum. Case got a bunch of opportunities to start a couple weeks, so he was not a franchise quarterback. Maybe Jordan Love can find a spot like that, but I don't view him as a franchise guy, nor do I view Kenny Pickett as a franchise guy. But at home, I'll take the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers purely based on defense here. I think they're going to rattle the hell out of Jordan Hell. Jordan Hell. He plays like it.
Yeah.
So, look, I like the Steelers. I don't think you've learned anything from the Steelers fading picks.
No, I'll still probably fade them when they play real teams.
Yeah. All right.
Titans at the Bucks. This is our first of 4 in a row here on splits. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bucks. I do feel like, yes, I like Will Levis. I do feel like I'm getting the better quarterback, especially with the better quarterback being at home. Baker being in Tampa Bay, I do think that's a factor. And I think actually the defense of Tampa Bay is underrated. I know they just got torched for 37, and that's going to kind of adjust how you might think about them. But I do think that they're going to be coming in a little bit underrated, a little bit humiliated. Defensive head coach Todd Bowles gets humiliated by a rookie quarterback. I think he comes back strong, gets pressure on Will Levis. I like the Bucks by a field goal.
All right, I can understand that, but I mean, Will Levis has been on a tear, and he looks really good. that arm,
It's been okay.
that infusion of special into the Tennessee team.
So you're taking the Titans?
I'm taking the Titans.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Do you think they're going to be able to run the football? I don't. Bucs are one of the best teams in the league against the run.
I like my boy D. Hen.
All right, we'll see. All right, Lions at Chargers. I'm going to go ahead and take the ineffable, the unbelievable,
Jared Goff,
the MVP level, Jared Goff. I'm kidding. I always mess with him and tell him that I have the better quarterbacks in the split, and I feel like I do outside of this game. I do think Herbert's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
But in the given system, there's an argument that Jared Goff has been a more productive quarterback in this system. I don't like Brandon Staley of the Chargers. I like Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson of the Lions. I think they have more to work with on the offensive side. Outside of Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, a lot of injuries piling up on the offensive side for the Chargers. I'll go ahead and take the Lions to get enough of a pass rush, do enough on offense, win close with a late field goal.
This comes down to the better quarterback. I like Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Now, I do think it's going to be close because the Lions are playing really good football, and you have to acknowledge that. And this is not going to be an easy one by any stretch of the imagination for Los Angeles, but I like Justin Herbert to be special when he's needed. I think this is one of the weeks that we see that.
Fair enough. Falcons at the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray returning here in Week 10 from that ACL of last year. Falcons, of course, going to start Taylor Heineke again. Good luck there. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cardinals in Kyler Murray's return at home. A lot of emotion. People are going to be hyped up to see Kyler. Kyler's been sitting there just hearing everybody slander him. They're going to move on from him. He's not this. He's not that. He's not focused. I think he comes out with a fire under his ass. I think he plays really well. Is he going to make a mistake? Sure. He might even have 2 picks. I don't think it matters. I think when he'll have 2 or 3 bad throws. Other than that, he's going to play with his hair on fire, running around like a little Chucky doll out there. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cardinals to win at home to beat Atlanta.
Okay.
And I can't pick Atlanta. They screw me every time.
For some reason, I did pick Atlanta here. I think you were referring to me with the Kyler slander.
Yeah. So, look, if we had time, I would go back through the entire league, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'd take Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray."
I wouldn't take Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray. I've never said that.
Jimmy G.
I'm not doing this again. But
okay. Russell Wilson.
No, I'm taking Kyler over Russ. We talked about this. We've been through this like twice. Deshaun. Give me Deshaun.
That's absolute blasphemy. That's wild.
I don't like Kyler. I think if he can put down the Xbox controller and take the COD headset off for a little bit, he might be okay.
Drake May.
Drake May. I don't know. I haven't even seen him in an NFL system. I don't know. Too early to tell.
Because I would take Caleb over Kyler, but I wouldn't take Drake May over Kyler.
Too early to tell.
All right, fair enough. Washington traveling to Seattle. I'm going to go and take Seattle. Good teams with a good, motivating defensive coach. Think about, people always talk about Tomlin as an underdog, Tomlin off a loss. Pete Carroll is very similar statistically to Tomlin off a loss. I will go ahead and take Seattle getting humiliated. They come back home. Washington's got to fly cross-country. I'll go ahead and take Seattle to win at home with a motivating head coach. He's going to light a fire under their ass, and they are going to come out with their hair on fire, much like Kyler will, and they'll get the win over Sam Howell.
The Commanders look good. Sam Howell looks good. Their defense looks good. I think
Talk yourself into Sam Howell.
They played their asses off against arguably the number 1 seed in the NFC in Philadelphia. They looked really good this last week.
I don't know, man. That's a bold one.
Give me Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, give me him.
All right, sounds good. The Cowboys hosting the Giants. The Giants are abysmal. They're starting Danny DeVito. Tommy DeVito, the Syracuse graduate. I'll go ahead and take the Cowboys to win by a ton.
Yeah, Cowboys by 1 million here. I don't like the Giants.
That's a bets on a budget preview.
Yeah.
Jets at the Raiders. This is another awful Sunday night game. I'll take the Raiders. I don't feel good. I just can't stomach another Zach Wilson bet, so I had to go Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders. I hate the Jets.
Yeah. But again, of course, whenever I don't pick the Jets, Zach Wilson will come out and throw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it won't make any sense.
Yeah, but when I call him for the upset of the week against one of the worst defenses in football, they're going to lay an egg and put up 6 points. Great. Broncos at the Bills on Monday Night Football. Look, let's not sell all our Bills stock. Are they out of the playoffs? Yes. Do they make the playoffs? I don't have a good answer for you. Maybe not. I don't know. There are some serious issues in that room. But at home, prime time, are they better than that team in Denver?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell all your stock. They can still knock out average to below average teams, and I do view Denver as an average to below average team. So I'll take Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo here. You have Josh Allen, and you're going up against a Russell Wilson who hasn't really proved to do anything this year so far. So
yeah, our splits. I'll take the Bears. You'll take the Panthers. I'm going to take Baker and the Bucks. You'll take the Titans. I'm going to give me the Lions. You're going to take the Chargers. I'll take the Cardinals and the Chucky Doll Kyler Murray over the Falcons, and I will take Seattle to play with their hair on fire over Sam Howell and Riverboat Ron.
sounds good, man. All right, it is time. Bets on a budget presented by SoBet, the 5 best bets of the week for the value that we can find them. Let's go.
Bets on a budget, like he said, sponsored by SoBet. Don't forget the referral code, the issue. Check out the link. But anyway, okay, let's get into it. Enough of that promotional nonsense. Let's get to the hard-hitting facts. Bets on a budget. Bet number 1 here. Baltimore -6 versus Cleveland. Look, they have proven the last couple weeks they might be the best team in football. And look, let's be very honest about what Deshaun Watson is in his tenure with the Browns. His average pass rating has been at 83.5 for the Browns in his career in Cleveland. That's not good enough. And against divisional opponents, so far this year, 67 pass rating against the Steelers and a 70 against the Bengals. He has not been good when it matters against AFC North divisional opponents. He hasn't been good enough. Point blank, end of story. I'll take Lamar to be a lot better than Deshaun. They'll win by at least a touchdown. I like them closer to 2. You think it's going to be closer, but do you still side with the Baltimore -6?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we discussed it a little bit. This is good. I see them winning by a good amount. I think the 6 here is
I'll take
very
6.5
safe.
or
I think
6.
that's very safe.
Yeah, that's safe. And then again, even if they win by 6, you still get a push. Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, bet number 2 are New Orleans -2.5 at Minnesota. So first of all, I have the hook on my side. If they win by a field goal, I'm covered, right? That's huge. We love that. And let's be real. Do we really expect Minnesota to pull another miracle like they just did? And I think we think New Orleans is better than Atlanta, and it took them a last-second drive to beat Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I don't view Minnesota as that good of a football team. Are they scrappy? Yes. Offensively, are they pretty good? Yes. But also, again, let's be honest about what New Orleans has been. Their offense and defense complement each other really well. They have an average margin of victory of 11 points so far this year in their 5 victories. They can blow people out with this defense, and lately, a really good offense.
Yeah, damn, coming at us with a lot of good stats here,
What can I say? I'm feeling it today. It's like I took Alpha Brain.
I love that bet, though. New Orleans is going to have their way with Minnesota.
Again, if that's 3.5, I don't know how I feel about it. 2.5, love the bet. Yeah. Love the number. Arizona +1 versus Atlanta. This is a pick'em game. Again, I like Kyler to be dynamic. Plus, we don't have film of Kyler in this offense yet. We have film of Kyler, not in this offense. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how many runs to expect. We don't know what his scrambling tendencies are going to be with this offensive line and this receiving core. And let's be real about Atlanta on the road and Desmond Ridder on the road. He has not been good even in his college career, not good on the road. But at home, he's been really good. They're not at home. They're on the road. Atlanta is 1-3 on the road, including a loss to a rookie quarterback, Will Levis. I'm not saying Kyler's a rookie, but it is his first start of the year under a new system. There's some tendencies that are similar to what you would expect to prepare for a rookie quarterback. You just don't know what you're getting, but you do get the talent and experience of a Kyler Murray. I love the side for Arizona.
And as much as I like to bang on Kyler, you can't deny that he is special with the legs and being able to move and extend plays. So, yeah, I can see that one.
Yeah. Let's go on to a big favorite, Dallas -16 versus the New York Football Giants. Look.
Yeah.
I know I was messing around Danny DeVito, but seriously, Tommy DeVito does not stand a chance. He has not been good in the 2 games he's had to play in. Look, 5 of the 7 losses for the Giants have come by 2 or more touchdowns. They just don't have what it takes. They lost by 40 the first time they played, and that was with Daniel Jones, who I'm not saying he's great, but he's better than Tommy DeVito. Let's be real,
You keep wanting to say Danny DeVito.
I almost said Danny DeVito again. It just rolls off the tongue.
It does.
But for real, Dallas is the side here. Who's going to step up and block Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, that front? I mean, look, even Philadelphia's offensive line had to bring tight ends in to chip. Who's blocking for the Giants? I don't know. I'll take Dallas to win by 3 touchdowns. I'm going to go 31-10.
That offense in Dallas is undeniable, especially when they're banging on all cylinders. And against a defense like that, I think it should be no problem for Dallas to run up the score.
Actually, 10 might be a lot of points for Tommy DeVito. I'll go ahead and I'll go 31-3. I think he gets a field goal. All right, last bet. Denver plus 7.5 at Buffalo. Look, I think Buffalo wins, but that's a lot of points to give up. And again, the hook's on my side at 7.5. If I was at 7, I'd pause. If it was 6.5, I'd probably go Buffalo. But I think at 7.5, I'm covered by a touchdown with Denver. So I like that bet. I like that number. And let's be real, since that Miami win, the last 5 games for Buffalo have all been within a touchdown, including 3 losses in their last 5. Yeah. Again, all close, all within a touchdown. I like Denver to keep it close. Off a bye, I think they have a chance. I'll go ahead and take Denver plus the points at Buffalo primetime.
Well, you talk about good coaches off a bye. I would definitely classify Sean Payton as a good coach.
100% he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I know this has not been the best season. He will be a Hall of Famer.
This is going to be a game where he's going to be able to kind of at least do what he needs to do to keep it close.
I think it'll stay close. Let's review those again. Baltimore -6 versus Cleveland. New Orleans -2.5 at Minnesota. I'll then take the dog. Kind of. It's a pick'em game. Arizona +1 versus Atlanta. I'll take the big favorite, Dallas -16 versus the Giants. Big favorites have been kind to us thus far this year. Again, you have to be careful about which ones, but when we do bet them, we've been successful there. And Denver +7.5 at Buffalo. First of all, love the number, and Buffalo has been playing in a lot of close games. I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
Love it, man. That was bets on a budget for Week 10. Like we said, guys, go check out SoBet. They got a lot of good stuff over there, a ton of good lines, and then we will have even more bets coming up over there every single week. So don't miss out. Go sign up. You can find the link right there in the description of this video, and don't forget to use code THEISSUE when you sign up. But guys, that's all we have for this segment. When we come back, we will have the news, and then we will have our game of the week, the 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, to round things out for today's show. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere. Here we go into the third segment. Nothing gets the third segment started quite like a good little session of Renegade.
It's the ultimate pump up. The most electrifying 30 seconds.
Can I get a clarification on this, by the way?
sport.
When we were at the Steeler game, when they played the Jags,
am I tripping, or did they not play Renegade?
They did not play Renegade.
They did not play Renegade.
And I don't understand it, because they were in the
why they
situation
lost.
where they could still... there was still a chance to win the game at the point in the fourth quarter where they would have played it. And I don't understand why. Is there
why they lost?
Is there a checklist that the game has to hit for them to play Renegade?
It's why they lost. That's all I have to say.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding. That's probably not why they lost. I'm thinking they lost because Mitch Trubisky
and their incompetent quarterback play,
absolutely buns. But
horrible offensive coordinator, and there are many reasons, a laundry list. But okay, in this segment, we're going to start with the news. And then we're going to have the game of the week to wrap things up. 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars as our game of the week. Should be a pretty good one.
It's weird. It's like the most popular West Coast team versus the most irrelevant team in football. And I'm not saying the Jags are bad, but they are statistically the most irrelevant football team.
They barely have a fan base. It's weird. Jacksonville's a small city.
I think they're the only team. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, actually, you won't know either. But I think they might be the only professional football team without 1 million followers on Instagram. Last time I checked, they had 950,000.
Get a fact check on that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
There's hockey teams that have more than that.
Yes.
And I've said the best thing on ice is bourbon usually, or a nice vodka and soda or something.
I've been big on the vodka sodas recently. Double lime, little Tito's.
Should we rein it back in?
Yeah, 100%. Right. Anyway, go check out theissuesports.com. Everything can be found over there. All of our social medias, all the platforms where you can listen to or watch the show. Go check it out. It's a good time. All the links are found in the description of the episode or of any single video that you find on YouTube anywhere. Go check it out, theissuesports.com. But the news first. We have 3 stories here. Going to do it a little bit different today.
I don't know them yet.
Yes, you don't know them yet. I'm going to read them to you. We're going to react to them, kind of talk about them, discuss them.
Because usually it's reverse. I give them to you, and then you react.
Right.
I like the reverse.
We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're back 9 of the season.
Love it.
All right. First of all, many people around the NFL are arguing for C.J. Stroud to win MVP of the league as a rookie. How do you feel about that?
That's ridiculous. There's no chance. Look, I think he's a very, very competent quarterback. Has he had one of the better rookie seasons in the recent memory? Absolutely. But even then, it's still not even scratching the surface of what Justin Herbert did in his rookie year. I mean, we got to put things into perspective here. They are still 4-4. We both have them losing this week. They'll be a sub 500 team halfway through the year, right? Like, so I don't view them as a playoff team. I'm not saying that you have to be one of the top teams in the league, but I think you have to have some team success to be considered an MVP. Like, yes, they have success in terms of Houston level success.
Yeah.
But they're not. They probably won't even be a playoff team. That's no.
See, the only thing I would argue is there should be, some sort of accolade given. I wouldn't argue MVP of the league.
Yeah, it's called Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year.
Oh, Roy. Yeah, that's a thing already.
But like for what he did for that franchise and being able to turn them around, we talked about it earlier in the show. Like what Houston was last year to what they are this year is vastly
deserves
different.
a ton of credit,
and it does. But I don't think that's not MVP of the league.
Worthy. Now I will say it is an interesting year because Mahomes is down. Jalen Hurts has been hurt, so his production's come down a little bit. There's not an overwhelming person. Maybe Lamar has been pretty good. Mm-hmm. Burrow's starting to piece it together a little bit. If he can do that for another 6 weeks, maybe he's the front runner. But there hasn't been an overwhelming person that's like, oh, they're the MVP.
Yeah.
Like I remember a couple years ago, Mahomes. Eight games into the year, you were like, okay, yeah. That's the MVP of the league. That's
clear
not really,
cut.
yeah, right. There was even a stretch. I think Kyler started with like 6 straight games with like over 350. Had 14 touchdowns in 6 games. You're like, oh, he's the MVP frontrunner. Obviously, he tails off, but there has not been a single player this year that's been like, oh, he's overwhelming the MVP.
Yeah, or
so
that's the Lamar won it.
Yeah, the Lamar. Yeah, that one was like, okay, obviously he's the MVP. That's what's going for C.J. Stroud, but I still don't think he should win it now.
Fair enough.
Up to this point.
Yeah. Story number 2. Chiefs and the Dolphins game in Germany drew record numbers for NFL Network. Now, how do you feel about the overseas games? Is this something they should stick with? Are they thinking about expanding into overseas? I know there have been talks about it, putting teams over there. How do you feel about the overseas aspect of the NFL? And then I can make an argument that, this game, yes, did it draw record numbers? Well, yeah, but when the Chiefs and the Dolphins play, it's always going to draw record numbers. Is this just like an anomaly because of the matchup?
Yeah, I don't think the record numbers had anything to do with where it was played. Could have been played anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world, really. I think these two teams is what drew the number, not just where it was at. My opinion on the overseas games.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of lukewarm. Like, I don't love the idea of it. I'm not like, oh, we have to do this every year, every week. But, there's worse parts about the NFL that I would fix first. I would fix the officiating first. There are plenty of things in the NFL that I think need reformed or fixed before we talk about overseas games being fixed or, altered in some way. But at the end of the day, we can sit here and argue, do you like the product or not? Whatever. But what has Goodell done better than any commissioner in NFL history?
Run the business.
Made the business so profitable.
Right.
And the more profitable and in front of more eyes and the better the league is financially, usually the better the product is, the better the business is. So if it helps the business grow, I like the business of the NFL. I like the product of the NFL. So I would have to say it's somewhat of a success. Do I think the product's great? No. But is it helping the business? Yes. I can give one bad game a week for a better overall product.
Okay. All right, third story here, coming back to Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin calls George Pickens' little outburst in recent, scrubbing of the social media and getting rid of all the Steelers stuff. Says, quote, George Pickens is a pebble in my shoe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because to me, a pebble in the shoe is annoying.
It's very annoying.
I think what he's trying to say is that's annoying.
That's something where you stop immediately, take the shoe off, shake the pebble out, put the shoe back on, and keep going.
Yeah, because nobody wants to hang out with that pebble.
So metaphorically,
nobody wants that pebble in their system.
Yeah. So what does this mean for the Steelers?
So now
and what would you do if you were in control? You're the GM. You have these rumblings with George Pickens. Everything's not really lining up for you. Your quarterback's struggling. What do you do?
Call me crazy. I would, because trade deadline's over. You're not going to cut him, right? Unless he is so unbearable, just day in and day out, you cannot continue forward with him anymore. Even then, I would try a suspension first. I would try a fine first. You could do those as teams. What I would do, call me crazy, I would feed him as much as humanly possible. And I'm not talking actual food here.
Yeah.
Give him the ball as much as humanly possible over the next 9 games send his stock through the roof, trade him in the offseason. Trade him in the offseason.
Get some value for him.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason you would keep him is if you're going to draft a quarterback, you need a good receiver there for your young quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you would keep him.
Well, the problem is, like, we saw the attitude problems and kind of all the issues with him while he was coming out of Georgia.
Yeah.
In hopes that he would be able to turn it around once he got to the NFL.
With the Steelers culture.
And he did for a while. But I guess the lack of production and after week 1, there was the hot mic on the sideline or the video from the sideline. It's like, oh, this ain't it. You know what I mean?
And let me be clear here. He's not wrong.
No, he isn't.
Like, he's not wrong. He's just going about it in the wrong manner.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
his opinion's not wrong.
You signed the contract, though. You have to play for this team. Your position could be a lot worse. You could not be a wide receiver in the NFL for one of the most stoic franchises.
I was going to say, you could also not be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That is a top 5 franchise in football. I mean, yes, they have their problems right now, but that's still overall as a franchise, as a business, top 5.
For sure.
Easily.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's all we got. That's the news, if you will.
Yeah, let's transition to that game of the week, huh? So the Niners traveling, a little cross country,
road trip,
going to Jacksonville in the Florida heat. Again, I don't think the weather or the trip will be much of a factor. San Francisco obviously can get pretty warm. They're used to playing in warm weather. That's not going to be a problem. And it's off a bye, so they probably traveled a little bit early. If I had to guess, again, coming off a bye, you got plenty of time to get there early. Again, and I mentioned, it's an interesting matchup because if you look at the Jaguars offense versus the Niners defense, on the back end, the Niners leave a lot to be desired. I like the Hufanga, the safety, but those DBs can get got. They can get burned every now and then. We know that Trevor Lawrence can air it out. So there's a good, strength on weakness in terms of Jacksonville. But look at the trenches. I don't know who's going to block Chase Young and Nick Bosa. I have no idea.
Yeah.
The offensive line leaves a lot to be desired in Jacksonville. So can Trevor Lawrence air the ball up? Absolutely. Is he going to have guys open? I think a lot of guys open. I think they're going to be able to they're going to have a good pass. They're going to have good options in the pass game if Trevor Lawrence can stay on his feet.
Sure, but
I just don't know if he's going to stay on his feet.
Yeah.
That's the issue. And then you flip around. San Francisco's offense has been struggling a little bit. Jacksonville's defense, they can get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. We saw that against Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky when they played the Steelers. But I don't see there being a huge mismatch either way there, offensively or defensively. So let's get to the keys to win. Let's go Jacksonville offense first. Get Calvin Ridley the ball early. Get him in a rhythm. You can see his numbers if he gets, I think it's 3+ catches in the first quarter, what his production looks like across the rest of the game versus if he doesn't get that in the first quarter. It is a drastic difference. I saw it somewhere on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, get him the ball early, get him in rhythm. That's the key for the Jaguars offense.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you need something to create a spark to kind of build off of, or else you're just going to lose it right out of the gates. You have to start hot against the 49ers.
Right, and well, who's their best after the catch receiver?
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
And we know you're going to have to get the ball out quick because you're not going to have all day back there with that pass rush. So who do we have to get in a rhythm early because we have to get the ball out early? Calvin Ridley.
First window throws.
We talk about all the time. Jacksonville's defense, you got to get pressure on Brock Purdy. We've seen Brock Purdy and most average quarterbacks. I'm not trying to pick on Brock Purdy here. This is true for probably, 70% of the league. Anybody like Kirk Cousins or lower. Anywhere between the 8th and 10th best quarterback and down, if you get pressure on them, that's how you beat them. That's point blank. That's the end of the story. That's it. We've seen Brock Purdy fold under pressure. We've seen Kenny Pickett. I'm not saying, again, it's not just a Brock Purdy thing. It's an average quarterback thing, and Brock Purdy's certainly an average quarterback. Get pressure on him, you'll have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make him uncomfortable, force him into some batteries.
Because he's good with time.
Yeah, he is very good with time, but we've seen him return to more of a human level to the point where it's
I would say even less than. He turned into a pumpkin the last couple weeks.
Yeah, but the key for Jacksonville is going to be getting that pressure, making him make the bad reads, forcing him into bad throws and bad decisions.
Because he's turned the ball over a couple times.
You're going to need to get turnovers. You need to take the ball out of the hands of this 49ers offense if you want a chance, because if you let them have the ball too often, it's just over.
They can just ball control possession their way to victory. San Francisco offense play a ton of 11 personnel. So a little behind the scenes here, 11 personnel is 1 tight end, 1 running back.
Yeah.
And that's the way to do it, because I think the weakness of the Jags defense, look, I don't think they're a great defense, but the specific weakness is the linebacking core. So if you can get George Kittle on a linebacker, as well as maybe Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield on a linebacker, now you're making two linebackers choose between, do we play the run, do we play the pass, do we play the play action? Now you're making them make choices in split decision moments against guys that are more talented than them.
Right.
That's when professional athletes make mistakes. If you have a linebacker that has to decide between the play fake for McCaffrey, then McCaffrey out of the backfield, or George Kittle coming across the middle in his zone, he can't make three decisions at once. He can't make the right decision more times than not.
Yeah.
Play a ton of 11 personnel and put stress on those linebackers in more ways than just one.
And the thing is, even if those linebackers make the right decision, then they're still left in a mismatch with somebody who's much more athletic than they are.
I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. San Francisco defense, take away Travis Etienne. Look, I love T-Law. Is he going to single-handedly win with no run game? I don't think so.
No.
If he has to drop back, you're going to have Chase Young and Nick Bosa, and they still have like four other dudes that they can rotate in, pinning their ears back. That's not going to be good. So for San Francisco defense, take Travis Etienne away, make Trevor Lawrence beat you. Chances are, if it's one-dimensional, he won't be able to do so because of the pressure and because their secondary, San Francisco's secondary is fine if they don't have to hold up for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
If they can hold up for 3, they're a really, really good secondary.
Well, before ETN got going, you can look at last year for that. The one-dimension thing, it killed the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And people,
that was early in the year, yeah.
People forget about that. So if you can get him rolling, that's the key for the Jags. Conversely, if you can stop it, that's going to be the big thing.
Conversely, big word. Word of the day.
Sure. Sure. You usually have a couple of those. I think you used rigidity earlier in the show. So.
Word of the day.
Yeah.
Hey, what can you say? Not only can you get betting advice here, we'll talk about 11 personnel. You get vocab words. Come on now.
SAT words. You prepping for that SAT?
Absolutely.
What's the score prediction?
Ooh. San Francisco 27, Jacksonville 21.
You like a 6-point game?
I think it's going to be pretty close, though. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you'd think.
More of a...
I'm actually going to go early in the fourth quarter. It's going to be 21-20 Jacksonville. Somewhere around the 10-minute mark, San Francisco score. Their defense will hold them off.
Who's going to score at the 10-minute mark?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
If that happens, I swear to God, I'm taking it to the bank.
We're clipping this and putting it everywhere. No, I'm gonna go higher scoring again, as I normally do. I don't think the Jacksonville defense is going to hold up all that well against San Francisco. I'm gonna go 33-23.
Oh, 10-point game. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
But I do think this has game of the week, at least potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Should be pretty good.
That's it.
All right, guys, that's all we have for you today. Make sure you're going to the website, theissuesports.com. You can check us out over there. Go follow the social medias. Stay up to date. We have a lot of stuff coming out. Make sure you go check out SoBet and sign up there through our link. You can use the code THEISSUE when you get there. It's great. Fantastic platform. We're excited to be there. This is the first week of us being there. So go check us out. Follow us over there. We really appreciate it. But guys, until next Thursday, that is The Issue.